Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. I apologize for being a few minutes delayed. I'm joined today by my parliamentary secretaries, Marie-France Lalonde and Yvonne Jones. Earlier today, I had an opportunity to participate in the 20th meeting of the Ukraine Defense Contact Group, which was hosted by the United States Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin. For close to 2 years now, this group of approximately 50 countries has been meeting regularly to discuss how we can best support Ukraine. And today I'm able to provide you with an update on Canada's next package of military assistance to Ukraine. Today I was able to share with you the UDCG, and I am announcing that Canada is committing over $48 million to the Czech Republic's initiative to purchase large quantities of artillery rounds for Ukraine. Our $40 million contribution is going to enable the rapid delivery of several thousand rounds of artillery ammunition to Ukraine, and most importantly, the ammunition that they have told us that they require. During all of our discussions, Ukraine has made it clear that artillery ammunition is one of their most urgent requirements, and they need more of it as quickly as possible. And as this international initiative, which is being led by the Czech Republic, it will provide with Ukraine with that much-needed ammunition. In the longer term, Canada is also advancing work to increase our domestic production of 155 artillery ammunition right here in Canada. We've already made some progress. We've made a significant investment in Canadian industry in order to come to us with a plan in order to increase that production. And we're doing this because not only does Ukraine need this ammunition, so do the Canadian Armed Forces. I'm also able to announce today to our colleagues that Canada is donating a package of night vision equipment worth approximately $7.5 million to the Ukrainian Armed Forces. This equipment is being purchased from 2020 Insight, a Canadian company, and it's going to enable Ukrainian soldiers to be more effective and safer on the battlefield. Finally, I'm also proud to say that Canada has officially joined the Ukrainian Defense Contact Group's Drone Capability Coalition, which is co-led by Latvia and the United Kingdom. This coalition is bringing together several partners working to find ways to increase drone production with the collective goal of delivering 1 million drones to Ukraine. Drones have, quite obviously, become an essential tool for the Ukrainian Armed Forces in their battles to fight against Russian aggression. They are adaptable, tough, and can perform a wide variety of tasks, from identifying threats to engaging with targets. Canada has already committed to donating over 800 Canadian-made drones to Ukraine, with the first scheduled to be delivered in the coming weeks. And by joining this coalition, Canada is going to be working with our allies to get even more critical drones into the hands of Ukrainian soldiers. And we have been working closely with Ukrainian industry and our coalition partners to support Ukrainian industry in the development of their drone capabilities and to help them be more effective on the battlefield. For over 2 years now, Ukrainians have fought bravely for their freedom, for democracy, and for the international rules-based order that has kept the globe safe for almost 80 years. And now more than ever, they need us to back them up, to make sure that they have the equipment and the supplies that they need to win this war. Canada has been resolute in its support for Ukraine. Until Ukraine's victory, we will continue to be there for Ukraine. Thank you, and I'm happy to take any questions that you may have.
Could you give us just a breakdown of some of the ammunition that will be delivered to Ukraine? Will it include any 155 millimeter?
Yes, most definitely. The Czech Republic announced a number of months ago is they had obtained access to important calibers of ammunition that Ukraine needed, and most importantly 155 ammunition. They also we entered into, in order to facilitate that purchase, using Canadian dollars to acquire what the Czechs had acquired and be able to deliver to Ukraine. We entered into a memorandum of understanding with the Czech Republic. I did that about 2 months ago. We have now been working with our coalition partners in the Ukraine Defense Contact Group, working with Ukraine, or with the Czech Republic and Ukraine, in order to facilitate the delivery of that ammunition. It is a range of ammunition that they've acquired, the 155 being the one I think most talked about, and obviously perhaps the greatest need that Ukraine has identified, but there are a number of other calibers of ammunition that the Czechs have been able to secure, and that we will be contributing with our coalition partners to deliver to Ukraine.
Is there any movement towards setting up production lines in Canada?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really important. We have actually a number of Canadian industries who are engaged in the production of artillery ammunition. There are 4 different companies that just a few weeks ago we announced that we were providing $4.5 million to those 4 companies. We've been working very closely with them. We need them to develop new production lines. We need them to modify their production and increase their production. That's going to take some time, and so we've provided them with money, and we're working very closely with them to develop a strong plan in order to increase that production. I think it has to be based on our collaborative work together, but the long-term vision is to actually significantly increase munitions production here in Canada, because I believe very much production is deterrence, and we need to be able to make that investment, and it's an important investment. And at the same time, Ukraine's made it very clear to us, Evan, that they have a desperate need right now for artillery ammunition, and that shortage is being felt on the battlefield. The Czechs and other of our European partners have been working on ways to acquire that ammunition from other sources, and we're working with them in order to provide it as quickly as possible to Ukraine.
So you mentioned rapid delivery. When will that be?
Well, again, when I say rapid, I think we all recognize and understand the urgency. And I was on a conference call this morning with Ukrainian Minister of Defense, Rustem Umerov, who made it very clear that they have an immediate need. And so we're working with our coalition partners to make that happen. Weeks and months rather than years, I think is the best way to characterize it. There are a number of very significant initiatives underway by all of our coalition partners to get Ukraine what it needs. I'm actually very grateful to the work of the Czech Republic and others in order to secure supplies that we can deliver to them as quickly as possible.
And can you give us an update on the air defense system that Canada purchased for Ukraine?
Well, about a year ago, Canada entered into an agreement with the United States in order to join with them in the acquisition of NASAM missiles, NASAM missile systems. That was determined to be the most expeditious way in order to acquire and to deliver to Ukraine the missile systems that they told us that they needed. We then entered into that agreement with the United States. We provided them with a significant amount of funding for that system, about 400 million Canadian dollars. Unfortunately, the actual production and delivery of that system has taken some time. We're working very closely, and I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge the important contribution of the U.S. ambassador. We've had conversations with the Secretary of Defense's office in order to expedite the delivery of those systems. Everyone understands the urgency, and even this morning, Secretary of Defense Austin spoke very, I think, clearly about the need for us to ramp up that production to deliver those NASAM systems as quickly as possible.
You've agreed to give, NATO has agreed to give Ukraine 1 million drones over the next year, and the Ukrainians have been saying they want to produce them inside Ukraine. Do you know where those drones are going to be made? Will they be sent from outside of Ukraine, or would you look to help them build factories?
It's a combination, I think, of both, and this is the important work, Evan, of the Ukrainian Drone Capability Coalition, which is being led by Latvia and the United Kingdom, and which I've just announced today that Canada is actually joining and becoming an important partner of. Some of those drones are going to be manufactured, obviously, outside of Ukraine, but I had the opportunity about a month ago. I was in Kyiv, and I met with their Minister of Strategic Industry. He explained to me some of the important work that they've been doing, lessons that they've learned from the battlefield that have informed their own industrial capacity, and that they have been developing their own drone manufacturing capabilities. We discussed how we can work collaboratively together, and even among the coalition partners, including Canada, investing in the purchase of Ukrainian-made drones as well. I think it's also a real opportunity. I don't think anybody knows better how to fight the Russians than the Ukrainians. They've got 2 years of hardened battle experience in that. And the evolution of drones in warfare, I think, is something that we all need to learn from, and needs to inform future defense acquisition policy. And so working very collaboratively with the Ukrainians, supporting the Ukrainians in their own manufacture, but I think there are real benefits to all of the coalition partners as well, including Canada.
So does the Canadian Forces have, or will it have, like a study group or a lessons learned unit that will take the lessons from the Ukrainian war and apply them to the Canadian?
I want to assure you that work has been ongoing since the very outset of hostilities 2 years ago in Ukraine. Canada began training the Ukrainian armed forces in 2014. Over 40,000 Ukrainian soldiers have been trained by Canada. That has built very deep and, I think, meaningful relationships between the Canadian Armed Forces and the Ukrainian Armed Forces, along with many of our coalition partners. I think there has been, and there are continued to be real lessons that have been learned. I can tell you in my own discussions with the senior leadership of the Canadian Armed Forces, they're watching very carefully the battlefield experience of the Ukrainians in Ukraine in their fight against Russia. There are many lessons that are being learned, and new technologies, new forms of warfare the importance of artillery, the importance of air defense systems, all of that is those are lessons all of us are learning from the experience of the Ukrainians.
You mentioned at the Security Defense Conference last week that the defense policy review would be coming soon. Any updates on that?
Yes, ma'am. I hate to use the word soon. There are really important discussions taking place within the government. We recognize, and I've said many, many times, Canada needs to do more. Canada needs to invest. We I think, came forward with a very strong and robust plan for national defense in 2017, a strong, secure, and engaged defense policy. But over the ensuing, now 7 years, I think there have been real lessons learned that the very significant investments we made through that policy and continue to make through that policy don't entirely respond to the needs of the current global environment and the threat environment that Canada and all of our allies face. And so we recognize that we need to make significant new investments, also recognizing that it's important that those investments be informed by the new reality of the battlefield, emerging technologies. We want to make sure, because we're spending hard-earned Canadian tax dollars, that we invest them properly and that we get the best possible public value for those investments. And so there has been, I think, some very important work going on in ensuring that our policy reflects Canada's emerging needs in defense, particularly in defense of our own continent, our Arctic security. That is our first and primary responsibility. Our obligations to our alliance partners in NATO, in NORAD, and in the Indo-Pacific are also very important to us. But we're looking at how we make the right investments at the right time in order to make sure that Canadians are resilient, strong, and safe.